Black Flag Resynced is changing way more than people expected. This is not just the same game with better graphics. Combat has been rebuilt, stealth has more freedom, naval battles are deeper, and even the way you explore the world feels different now. The original Black Flag was already one of the most loved Assassin's Creed games, but Resynced looks like Ubisoft is trying to modernize almost every part of it, while still keeping the pirate soul alive. We now have more gameplay details for Black Flag Resynced, and honestly, it sounds bigger than a normal remake. Today, we will introduce you to 18 changes in Black Flag Resynced, so let's get into it. Parkour is faster and more fluid. The parkour system looks familiar, but it is clearly not identical to the original. Edward still has classic moves like ejects and smooth climbing that longtime fans will recognize immediately. But the overall animations are faster, and some movements look influenced by more recent entries in the series. Whether this feels like a clean upgrade or just different is genuinely something we cannot judge until the controller is in our hands. But visually, the movement looks more dynamic and responsive than before. For a game set in a massive Caribbean world full of jungle canopies, tall ships, and enemy forts, fluid and reactive parkour matters more than people give it credit for. Hidden blade combat is gone, and this will divide people. Here it is, the most controversial change on this entire list, and I want your honest opinion on this one. In the original Black Flag, you could use your hidden blades directly in combat. It gave Edward a uniquely classic Assassin's Creed feel even in the middle of an open fight. That double hidden blade lunge was iconic. In Resynced, that appears to be completely gone. Combat is now focused entirely on swords, pistols, parries, and faster action sequences. The hidden blades are for assassinations only. Some players will appreciate a cleaner and more focused combat system, but for old-school fans who love that classic assassin identity in the middle of a brawl, this removal is going to sting hard. I genuinely need to hear what you think about this in the comments, because this is the change that I think will split the community most. Stealth has been completely rethought. This might be the single change that makes Resynced feel the most different from the original. In Black Flag 2013, stealth was honestly a bit rigid. You hid in bushes, you used fixed cover spots, you moved between specific designated shadows, and if you stepped slightly outside those systems, you were spotted almost immediately. Resynced throws all of that out. Edward can now crouch anywhere at any time. Real shadow concealment replaces fixed hiding spots. Forts, enemy camps, and missions are genuinely open now. You can approach from any angle, stay low in completely unexpected places, and build your own stealth path instead of following the game's invisible script. And here is a fun detail. The crouch mechanic was actually shown in early footage of the original Black Flag but never made it into the final release. 13 years later, it is finally here. Weapons now have unique perks. Weapons in the original Black Flag were simple: damage, speed, range. Pick the highest stats and forget about it. Resynced changes this completely. Weapons now come with unique perks that actively affect your playstyle. Certain swords might increase how many enemies you can chain kill in a single sequence. Others could heal you after landing a perfect parry. This makes weapon choice genuinely meaningful for the first time. Instead of just grabbing the highest damage number, you will be thinking about what fits how you actually want to play. It adds real depth without pushing the game into RPG territory, and that balance is exactly what this remake needs. Not an RPG. Let's start with the most important confirmation of all. Black Flag Resynced is not an RPG. No level grinding. No enemies shrugging off your hidden blade kills because their stats are higher. No endless loot tables turning a pirate adventure into a looter shooter. For anyone who felt burned by the direction of Odyssey or Valhalla, this is huge news. Edward Kenway's world is staying focused on action, exploration, stealth, and story. The series is going back to what it was, and honestly, this single confirmation alone makes Resynced worth paying very close attention to. Brand new story. Missions and content. This is where Resynced stops being just a gameplay upgrade and becomes something more significant. There is entirely new story content included. New missions, expanded character arcs, additional narrative moments woven throughout Edward's journey. And the two characters getting the most attention in the new material? Blackbeard and Stede Bonnet. Both were already some of the most memorable characters in the original game, and both left players wanting more. Extra time with them could make the story hit even harder than it did in 2013. For people who fell in love with the narrative, this addition alone makes Resynced genuinely exciting. Tailing missions are actually fun now. If you played the original Black Flag, you already know exactly what this means. Tailing and eavesdropping missions were some of the most frustrating moments in the entire game. Follow a target for 5 full minutes, make one small mistake, and the game instantly desyncs you. Start completely over, every single time. Resynced fixes this in a genuinely smart way. If something goes wrong mid-mission, the mission does not end. It evolves. Guards react. The target might panic and change their route. You have to adapt on the fly instead of reloading. This one change alone could take something that felt like a punishment and turn it into one of the most exciting and dynamic parts of the game. Explore zones replace waypoint markers. This change could fundamentally shift how the game feels to actually play. Instead of always giving you a precise marker pointing you exactly where to go, Resynced introduces explore zones. The game gives you a search area and lets you investigate it yourself. You watch the environment, you observe behavior, you figure out where the objective actually is. For a pirate game built around treasure hunting, adventure, and genuine discovery, this fits perfectly. Blindly following a yellow arrow never felt like real exploration. This system forces you to engage with the world instead of just walking toward a waypoint, and it could make Resynced feel significantly more immersive as a result. The Jackdaw feels like a real home. The Jackdaw was already the emotional heart of Black Flag, but Resynced is pushing that connection even further. New customization options, new ship skins, upgraded weapons, and more reasons than ever to board and capture enemy vessels. But here is the detail that genuinely put a smile on my face. You can now bring a pet onto the Jackdaw, a cat or even a monkey, just casually living on your ship alongside your crew. It sounds small, but these personal touches are exactly what make an open world feel lived in rather than just populated. Edward's ship was already iconic. Now it actually feels like a home. You choose which shanty your crew sings. Sea shanties were one of the most beloved parts of Black Flag. There is almost nothing better in gaming than sailing open water while your crew belts out a full song together. But in the original, it was all random. You just had to wait and hope your favorite would eventually come up. Resynced fixes that perfectly. You can now select which shanty your crew sings at any time. That is such a satisfying quality of life improvement.
Let's have a different one.
And the old mechanic of chasing shanty sheets scattered across the world is also returning, so collecting them still feels meaningful and rewarding rather than a chore. This might sound like a minor detail, but for anyone who spent hours in the original, this is genuinely exciting. Officers change everything. This is one of the most exciting new systems in Resynced, and not enough people are talking about it. You can now recruit officers for the Jackdaw, and these are not just background extras filling out a crew count. Every officer brings a unique ability that actively changes how your ship performs in combat. One officer might unlock a more devastating broadside attack. Another could improve how quickly your crew repairs damage mid-battle. This means your crew composition now matters just as much as your ship upgrades. It adds a completely new layer of strategy to naval progression that the original game never had. And it could make every major sea battle feel far more personal. Naval combat completely rebuilt. Naval combat was already the heart and soul of the original Black Flag. But Resynced is not just preserving it, it is evolving it in ways we did not expect. The Jackdaw now comes with alternate firing modes and brand new secondary weapons. Enemy ships have far more variety depending on their faction, equipment, and what they are actually carrying. So instead of every sea battle playing out the same way, you will need to read the situation. A heavily armored naval frigate demands a completely different approach than a fast, light schooner. The ocean is no longer just beautiful, it fights back hard, and now you finally have real tools to answer it.
Take the fight to them!
The entire underwater world is now open. The original Black Flag had underwater sections, but they were gated behind specific dive zones and fixed entry points. You could not just jump off the Jackdaw and freely explore below the surface whenever you wanted. That changes completely in Resynced. You can dive anywhere. Spot a shipwreck on the ocean floor? Dive. Want to silently approach an enemy vessel from underwater? Dive. See something suspicious near a reef? Dive. The freedom is now completely yours. The oxygen and shark systems are also getting full customization options. If you want the authentic survival tension, it is all there. But if you find the oxygen drain stressful and just want to freely explore, you can adjust those settings to open up the experience. The Caribbean Ocean was always one of the most visually stunning environments in gaming. Now you finally get to explore all of it. Outfits are purely cosmetic now. This change solves a problem that most players never consciously identified but always quietly felt in the original. Certain outfits in Black Flag came with gameplay perks attached to them, which meant you were sometimes forced to wear armor you did not like just to keep a useful stat bonus. Resynced separates this completely. Outfits are now fully cosmetic. The actual perks and bonuses are moved to a dedicated trinket system. So Edward looks exactly how you want him to look, and your build stays completely independent of your fashion choices. It sounds simple, but it is a genuinely smart design decision. Weather is now a real force. The weather system in Resynced is not just a visual upgrade. It is an active gameplay system. Storms hit harder, waves push the Jackdaw physically. Wind genuinely affects how your ship moves and handles on the open water. Environmental objects react dynamically to changing conditions around them. Sailing into a storm in the original game was tense but mostly cosmetic. In Resynced, rough weather could actively change the outcome of a naval battle or turn a straightforward sailing route into something genuinely dangerous. The ocean has always been the soul of Black Flag. Now it has real teeth. The world now flows without interruptions. One of the subtle immersion breakers in the original Black Flag was loading screens when entering cities and interiors. You would be sailing this massive, open, living ocean, dock at Havana or Nassau, and suddenly hit a hard stop while the area loaded around you. Resynced is addressing this directly. Docking and transitioning between areas is now smoother, with the world flowing more continuously from one space to the next. For a game that wants you to genuinely feel like a pirate captain exploring a real living Caribbean, removing those interruptions makes a meaningful difference to how the whole experience feels.
Es cierto lo que dicen. Tiene un cocodrilo por animal de compañía. Increíble.
HUD is fully customizable. Simple change, big impact. Resynced lets you fully toggle and customize your HUD. If you want total immersion with no markers, no health bars, and no compass cluttering your screen, that option is fully available. If you want every piece of information visible at all times, that is available too. For a world as visually stunning as the Caribbean in this remake, having the ability to strip away the interface completely and just sail and explore feels genuinely special. It is the kind of option that respects how different players want to experience the same game. Original versus Resynced, which one actually wins? So after everything we just covered, here is the real question worth asking. The original Black Flag had simple but deeply satisfying counter-based combat, a tightly designed world, iconic naval battles, and the raw emotional power of Edward Kenway's story. It was not a perfect game by any measure, but it was beloved for very real reasons. Resynced is keeping all of that soul while rebuilding almost every system on top of it. Combat is faster, stealth is more flexible, naval battles are deeper. The story is being expanded. The world flows without interruption. The ocean actually fights back. Weapon choices mean something. Your crew matters. The pirate fantasy is still there. But now it is sharper, more flexible, and more modern than it has ever been. The question is this: will Resynced finally be better than the original? Or will the classic Black Flag always remain untouchable?
Oh, by God, we pulled this one straight from the teeth of Neptune. I'm Edward. Much thanks for your aid back there.
Adewale.
You ever been to Nassau, Adewale?
Not yet.
So now the big question is, do you think Resynced will be better than the original, or will the classic Black Flag still remain unbeatable? And if you love deep dives into games like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now and ring the bell so you never miss anything from Gamer Is On.